The Sebastian County Sheriff's Office says it is planning an increased presence at Hackett Public Schools tomorrow morning.
The Sheriff's Office posted this message to Facebook tonight, saying this is a response to an anonymous threat received by students in the district. No other information about the threats or who they were targeting was released. The Sheriff's Office says students and staff can expect that increased presence for the foreseeable future. Well, new tonight, the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment is calling for more testing around the old Whirlpool plant in Fort Smith.
5 News reporter Claire Erebach explains why the state is now asking for additional monitoring wells.
I'm outside the former Whirlpool refrigerator plant in Fort Smith, a facility that closed over a decade ago. But state environmental regulators say that the contamination left behind needs closer watching. Whirlpool shut down its Fort Smith refrigerator plant in 2012. The following year, the company admitted to leaking a toxic chemical, trichloroethylene, or TCE, into the soil and groundwater around the site. In 2015, Whirlpool hired the engineering firm Ramboll to monitor the contamination and begin cleanup, including injection wells to break down chemicals in the ground. For years, Ramboll submitted semi-annual reports to the state and last year said there was no risk to the public. But state officials say new data shows the underground chemical plumes are still expanding. The state also found an error in Ramboll's report about indoor air data. While some chemicals did exceed screening levels, Whirlpool conducted an indoor air risk assessment, which found levels still within EPA's allowable range for workers, according to Energy and Environment. But even with the plume still migrating, regulators say there is no current health risk to residents. That's because the contamination is underground, and residents are restricted from using the groundwater. Vapor monitoring shows no dangerous chemicals inside homes. Whirlpool says they are spending, quote, considerable resources to clean up the site, but ADEQ says that additional monitoring wells are needed to track the contamination. And they say Ramboll has 30 days to respond to the August 15th request. In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
All right, Claire, thank you. A new law regulating e-cigarette sales in Arkansas takes effect today. The law places stricter rules on disposable products, creating a registry of approved products with stronger inspections. The state's Tobacco Control Division will oversee the regulations and make sure all manufacturers selling products in the state are approved by the FDA. On this Labor Day, hundreds of demonstrators showed up in Fayetteville. As 5 News reporter Bo Russell shows us, they say they felt the need to speak out and highlight issues they say they have with the Trump administration and how workers are treated.
Thousands of groups from across the U.S. gathered this Labor Day to protest.
Labor Day dates back to 1882 when workers gathered in New York City to remind elected officials and others that workers matter.
Lisa Childs, an organizer with Indivisible NWA and other protesters, are calling the event Workers Over Billionaires because they say they feel the majority of people in the country are struggling.
There's a lot of hard times going on in America for everyone. It's not just young adults, it's not just for kids, it's not old, elderly people, it's everyone that's suffering.
Organizers say recent legislation is a gut punch to the working class.
The bill that was passed last July was giving huge tax cuts to billionaires while breaking things like Medicaid.
One demonstrator I spoke with is a grad student at the University of Arkansas. He says recent cuts to education programs inspired him to make a run for Congress in 2026.
But seeing the cuts to science and the cuts to a lot of these Medicaid and a lot of things that people rely on, and without another alternative, I felt like it was my time to stand up and to try and make a change.
Protesters say today's event is a peaceful demonstration, something they hope will be a symbol of their intentions.
What we're doing here now is about love. We're trying to spread love and grow a more loving environment in the U.S. instead of hatred.
Among the thousands of demonstrations today, groups here in Arkansas gathered in Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Harrison, Hot Springs, Jonesboro, and Little Rock. I'm Bo Russell, 5 News.
Well, advocates for gun regulations gathered outside the Minnesota State Capitol building today following the deadly shooting last week at a Catholic church and school. Organizers say they're asking state lawmakers to hold a special session focused on bans for high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. Members of the church where it happened gathered for Mass over the weekend for the first time since the shooting. Ashley Grams has more on how community members are coming together to support the victims and their families.
Pain and loss. It's something many are trying to navigate after a shooting at Annunciation Church and school took the lives of 2 children and injured many others. The tragedy rippling through this community, impacting neighbors, friends, and people of faith.
It is free and it's open to anyone.
The city of Minneapolis now trying to meet that need by opening a resource center. Stephen Gallagher is with the city's emergency management department.
Maybe you're a neighbor and you just want to talk things through. We have folks here that can help you talk through how you're feeling and how we can cope as a community.
The center, set up at Lyndhurst Park, is offering spiritual care, mental health resources, and therapy dogs. On Sunday, dogs Millie and Oliver
Good girl, Millie.
comforted anyone who needed some support.
Big question we keep getting is how to talk to your kids.
Rebecca Rabb with the Minnesota Office of Justice Programs has expert resources for families wrestling with those questions. Also applications for the state's crime victims reimbursement program.
For those directly impacted, that includes the victims, their parents, grandparents, and siblings. So we just want to make sure people know that this is available to them.
It's an effort to ensure no one faces this tragedy alone.
The best part of being here is one of the families came through and gave me a hug on their way out, and it makes everything just come together.